I was getting super excited.
I don't know what those dance moves were. They I couldn't tell if you're having like a nervous breakdown or like trying to channel like a Carlton, but not doing it.
It's all the pent up energy from missing a week. We got trades. I beat Michael. I'm beating you. Like, there's just so much going on. Like, there's just too much. There's too much going on right now. And we have been teasing Michael's appearance on the show for I think 2 months now.
Yep. I don't know if any of y'all ever watched like Saturday Night Live with Keaton Thompson, the like What Up With That sketch where he always had Lindsey Buckingham on and then cut him off before he ever said anything. I feel like we're that right now.
Yes, we are 100% that. As the fans know, Michael, our resident Magic fan, super fan and expert, we'll be talking rookie roundup later in the show. And we have cornered him. We've penned him down to make a list. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Sorry, just in addition to bringing incisive Orlando Magic analysis and commentary, I'm also bringing an additional viewer to our viewership counts. Allie said she'd watch if I gave her a shout out. Allie, hi. Here's your shout out.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
And hope you enjoy increasing our viewer count by 66%.
From making it several million to several million and one.
Correct. Yes.
Number one, No Drakes Allowed podcast on YouTube, just to be clear. So
interesting category there.
I mean, I cannot tell a lie. So we did miss a week. As usual, I feel like we've really reached a bit of a stasis point in the league this point. Amy did assert her dominance last week fully by beating number 2 Joe, constant number 2, forever number 2, and I think she is the runaway favorite so far for the remainder of the season to take the title.
I wouldn't agree, but we can get to that later.
Ooh, spicy. I am still holding 6th. I'm the 97-98 Bulls. We're waiting for number 3.
Who's 5th?
Michael, you're 5th, and I beat you last week, so that means I'm better than you.
Still 5th.
And then,
I think you and I may be heading for a first round matchup, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then, so I need to beat Nat, you to complete the double three-peat, which was, I believe the fans remember my goal. I've projected this for a solid month, and we're making it happen. So I'm excited about that. And I am very tightly wound here with Sandwich to make the playoffs, though. So it's gonna be down to the wire. Although
do you ever want to be tightly wound with Sandwich? That is just not a good way to be.
Christopher, can I make a comment about your record?
You may.
Nice.
Do you have it? There it is. It took me a minute. Yeah, like double niceties.
Yeah,
it is double nice. A twofer for the fans there. Kwame River, if the fans do remember, our consensus pick to make the playoffs in the 6th seed, above me, falling down the job, not doing so well.
Life comes at you fast.
Yeah, and with the easiest record of the last remaining folks struggling. So we'll see how this turns out. I'm feeling good, and I'm feeling super good so far. Last week's matchup was nice, and then I'm feeling pretty good about this week's matchup. I'm winning the categories I need to win, and you're not. So we'll see how this goes. I'm feeling pretty good. How are you feeling?
I mean, you're literally up by 1 3-pointer right now. That is the difference in the matchup. But anyway, I don't know.
And played 3 more games.
It's all about the long game for me at this point. I just need 1 loss from you or Sandwich, and I'm happy. That's all I need the rest of the way.
Is that so then you clinch?
That's my clinch, my spot.
I do find it interesting. While you're obviously going to make the playoffs, Joe and you have not clinched, but you're like, the records are so much substantial. So like, if you did lose every game the remainder of the way, you could theoretically not make the playoffs, but that seems unlikely.
Right, because I could be 8-8-4, and if both of you or if won all of your games, you'd be 10-9.
Yes, Sandwich and I would have to win.
So I need 1 loss. Basically, if I just win this week, I can take the rest of the season off and just get ready for playoffs. So I would like to win this week. That is my goal.
Nope, not gonna happen. You cannot stop a dynasty.
A dynasty? How many dynasties are 6 and 9?
Hey, I had some struggles at the beginning of the season. We've retooled mid and we're destined for greatness. That's all I have to say about that.
Can you copy that audio, please? just for later use. Like,
I'll have to remember.
4 weeks.
Yeah, we're like what, 5 minutes in, somewhere in there.
I keep forgetting to set my time. I've been a bad production engineer this season.
Well, you're rusty right now. We haven't been on in a while.
The last thing before we'll come back to our matchup is no. So the one I think interesting thing in the matchup is you've lost a player, critical player for you,
at
Mr.
least for
Sabonis.
one night.
I feel like it takes more than a night to get reintegrated.
Usually takes one game. They usually miss one game in a trade.
So
depends
Mr.
on
Sabonis,
when the Kings play next.
The Kings.
How do you think he feels, Mr. Sabonis? We're just gonna throw it out there. Mr. Sabonis is now a Kang. And I wonder how he feels going from the lovely Indianapolis to the lovely Sacramento.
It's certainly a lateral move for Mr. Sabonis.
He just gets to live in basically the same place, but pay 3 times as much.
You definitely meant that as an insult, Christopher, even though it sounded like it wasn't.
No, I meant it as an insult. No,
that seemed like an insult to me.
It's not a positive for sure. I certainly would think that him or Turner thought they'd be, if they're going to get dealt, which they probably assumed they would, probably get dealt, they'd go somewhere important and not languish in obscurity in Sacramento. So I do feel for the guy.
And I'm a big fan, obviously. I drafted him on my team, and he's the son of great Blazers legend Arvydas Sabonis. So, lots of affection there. And I would love to see him on a winning team and see what he can do.
Speaking of drafting Domantas Sabonis, Nathaniel, drafted
by I'm aware.
Team. Yeah.
And what did they give him away for? Just remind me.
It was Oladipo and the rights to Sabonis for Serge Ibaka. And that same package eventually was also traded for Paul George, funnily enough. So, in an alternate universe,
or something else that's
just
not
sad.
Funny. That's not funny.
It is just a continuation of the Orlando Magic capability to draft and then completely light everything they draft on fire. So that's sort of
all right. So trade
people
since we're talking about
that were stupid get fired, and then you have new people who might make different trades that aren't stupid.
Let's talk about that, because I think some people are going to get fired after this trade. Go, Nat.
Hold on. Before we, here's the full trade. So Indiana traded Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, Tristan Thompson for Domantas Sabonis, Justin Holiday, Jeremy Lamb, and a second-round pick a million years from now. So my first question is why? And my second question is also why? And my third question is, what the hell are you doing to the Kings? Indiana, great job, Indiana. They just pulled a young rising player in Tyrese Halliburton on a cheap contract who fits the rebuilding timeline without having to throw away any draft capital at all. And they did it for someone who probably wasn't going to be on the team 2 years from now either way, because he probably would have signed somewhere else anyway. So good job there, Indiana.
Also at a position of a surplus. They have Miles Turner as well. So you have a surplus.
Yes.
They did lose.
You could call it a surplus. You could call it a log jam. You could call it terrible team building. You could call it whatever you want.
I want to call it a log jam, actually.
I think Turner is also not there at the end of the season. I think he's somewhere else too.
Well, they got it. The one thing I would say is Thompson and what was the other person?
Hield.
Oh, Hield. That's right. No, it is. So I was gonna say because Holiday and Lamb, they're not starters, but they're they're solid bench guys that are doing real minutes. And I had thought that was not you're getting a legit star and then 2 solid bench guys for garbage in Thompson. But Hield could easily be their 6th man or better shooter. It's a dumb. It's not like how they not get a pick out of that. That is the thing I don't get.
How did who not get a pick out of that?
The Kings, like they should have gotten
because they were the ones trading the. They were the ones trading the package. They were the ones receiving supposedly. I don't know if I agree. The better player, and they were putting together the young guys and bench fodder package for him. However, I think Halliburton is the best player in that deal, and he also has more upside than anyone else in that deal.
So I'm curious about this. So Sabonis is like a legitimate triple-double threat already, and like one of the few big guys in the league that's doing that. So like I appreciate that Halliburton is a solid player, but like they're kind of producing similar results, but like Sabonis is doing it more often if given the potential. So I'm curious, like the future, I think I can see why the ceiling is higher, but I'm like right now I feel like it's a fair statement that Sabonis is like a better output player.
So at this exact
if we're talking
moment,
fantasy,
Joseph is about to send you an angry text as he's watching the replay.
I really hope he's like live tweeting this right now.
And
like getting ready to retort.
Yes, like this is, you'll know he was like 20 minutes in or 18 minutes in, whatever it was, because this is what okay. Carry on.
Anyway, so Sabonis's triple doubles are kind of empty. They're a little Westbrookian in some ways. They tend to not win their games when he has triple doubles.
They're a bad team. I mean, the Kings also don't win the games when Halliburton gets triple doubles either.
This is true. Also, outside of fantasy, triple doubles don't really matter. And you also there are two sides of the court in basketball. And as much as I love Sabonis, he really only plays one of them. And Halliburton very much plays both. In case you're unaware of what I'm talking about.
Hot take.
I mean, I guess here's my question to you. So we're gonna go 2020 draft, right? That was where Halliburton was picked. He was picked 12th because everyone's an idiot. And so the first
no bias at all.
No. So here, let me read to you the picks that were before him. Anthony Edwards, very good. James Wiseman, meh. LaMelo, excellent. Patrick Williams, meh. Isaac Okoro, Okongwu, Killian Hayes, Obi Toppin, Denny Avdia, Jalen Smith, Devin Vassell, Halliburton. He's at worst the third best player in that draft already.
Why? So, okay, legitimate question, because you two are fanboys, have been since the draft. Like, why did he go deep? And then clearly people don't value him. So like, what is, I don't understand. He was mocked
to go by most people at like 4 or 5.
But why didn't he?
I don't know if I remember that, but I do know that, I mean, just in general, like you're speaking of a larger issue of that drafting is actually like a crapshoot, right? Like, you get it right at the top most of the time sometimes, and then everything else is kind of, who knows. I mean, everybody could see he had talent coming out. I don't remember seeing him at 4th or 5th. I remember I thought he was like 10th to like 14th in that range, but everyone just missed because it's tough to evaluate prospects.
It is tough to evaluate prospects. However, trying to look this up real quick. I believe off the top of my head, just keep talking while I look something up.
I was looking up advanced stats to see what the comparison was. So Sabonis is higher on the VORP at the moment, and also higher on the win share. So Basketball Reference this season says he's the better player. Actually,
compare aging contract, right? Like that's like the like.
I'm making the future argument. Like obviously Halliburton's a younger player. You're making a bet at the future, but I'm saying like right now,
sure.
It would indicate, the stats would indicate that Sabonis is giving you better value. Yes, is all I'm saying.
It's more that like trades like this really don't happen where like the really promising second year player is like given up for to use your parlance, right, a lateral move, right, like essentially like like it's just like trades like this don't really happen. Like young guys on cheap contracts, just like in every sport, are essentially the most valuable asset one can have. And if you have somebody who's on potentially a superstar trajectory, it's like why, like what is ever the rationale to give up on them, unless like something that like they don't, right? Which I guess
that's it is interesting.
So you trade Halliburton for James Harden, LeBron or some of these guys. Like if you're going for a superstar trade, he's the centerpiece of your trade. He's not the centerpiece of your trade for a fringe all-star who definitely is not going to make the all-star team in the West for fairly rarely. And I think
very curious how this goes, just because I have no horse in this race at all.
Also, for the record, I think the reason Halliburton went lower than he did is because he was a third-year guy, and teams never will like hold it against players who aren't 19. So less potential, less upside.
Yeah.
And he was like a Iowa State. It was not like a power, but he like killed everybody and was great. I distinctly remember him being mocked in like 4, 5, 6 territory in some places and others around like 7, 8, but nowhere at like the end of the lottery.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. As a quick aside, for next year's betting, we should all get to pick a player picked 11th or higher in the draft, and like 3 years out, whoever has the highest VORP or
I like that. That's a good bet.
Like Colin Dosunmo.
Yeah,
already done.
Well, we could start for next year, Christopher.
I'm just saying it's already there. Okay. I will say it is interesting. I don't have a horse in this. Halliburton's a fine player, but I'm playing devil's advocate. The advanced stats don't really care for him, and I know that he's on the KANGS. So like this gonna be, that's why I'm most curious how players basically going to equivalently not great teams, but just changing the scenery, how they're going to be reutilized. And if I think both actually could be better because they're going to be better tooled on those teams. So I'll be very curious how this works.
Well, so that was a question I wanted to ask. Like, so who's going to a better fit, right? Is Halliburton a better fit on the Pacers, or is Sabonis a better fit on the Kings?
I'd say Halliburton because he can fit anywhere. And Sabonis is now going to have to play power forward again. And that was not an enjoyable experience for him. It doesn't work well for his game because he can't really shoot and he doesn't really guard fours. And he almost basically went to an equivalent situation. And the only difference is that Fox actually passes the ball, whereas LeVert never passed the ball. So it is possible he may see a fourth quarter touch sometime this season, which he never did on the Pacers.
I wonder if they become more like the Knicks and Sabonis plays the Randall role, and then Holmes is out there being like rim protector, and like Sabonis is basically just out on the perimeter and running.
Right, but Sabonis can't shoot.
Fair.
Randall can shoot. That's the difference.
I am curious. Yeah, that's
debatably
fair. And like it would be interesting because like Fox is a legitimate. I feel like there's too many guys handling the ball, but I think Pacers are gonna have that problem too. Like you got Brogdon, Hield coming along, which is one of the problems in that backcourt in Sacramento is they had too many guys trying to always huck the ball, and like you're still gonna have a little bit of that in Indiana. So I am curious, like they're basically trading pieces for the same problem on both teams.
I don't think Hield will be on the team by the start of next season.
How many years does
he may not be on the team by the end of this week?
But how many years does he have left on his contract? Didn't he sign like a big one?
Let me look at that.
Something stupid.
Yeah.
So I'm
4-year, $94 million contract expiring in 2024.
Yeah.
I also think like what's interesting too, again, lateral move I'll keep using because like neither team has ambitions. Like it's not like Indiana. Not like either of these teams is going to make the playoffs in any appreciable power like form. So like if I was either of those players, what's my motivation to give two craps? They're not going to be uber motivated because they got traded to like
2 games out of the play-in. So like they might make the play-in.
They might make the play-in, but like it's not like I'm going to be jazzed. Like it's not like I went to I don't know a team like in the middle of the hunt.
Yeah, he didn't get traded to the Warriors like some people were thinking he might.
Yeah.
But he's going at least on Sabonis, at least he's going from like clearly blowing it up situation to like trying to win. Maybe not succeeding in winning, but they are at least trying to win. And I think for Indiana, it makes a lot of sense because they went younger and they're clearly going younger in general. They're going to have a really high pick this year. I'd be surprised if Turner plays again for them, whether he is just shut down for the season or traded. And I think they're gonna go young and have him in a high lottery pick and see if TJ Warren can remember how his foot works and go from there.
I wouldn't undersell the bench guys either. Like the Kings got the better bench guys from like actually improving the broadness of their team. So like I love the bench
guys.
I love the bench.
You were just like I can't wait until you like trade Lonzo for like 4 bench guys off the Bulls after he has like a 1 for 18 game in a playoff game, and you want to trade him for like 4 bench guys.
Going back to something I think Christopher said earlier in the chat, it is interesting that like this is a trade between 2 like have-nots essentially, right? It's like an old school like baseball challenge trade where you were trying to like trade like underperforming prospects with one another to like give them a new like situation, but like really like usually trades are like the have and the have not, right? Like and you're trade, somebody wants the item of higher value, but here I mean Halliburton's potential notwithstanding, you're trading essentially like it is, yeah, I guess just using Christopher's words, like a lateral move. And like it is interesting that like you can understand why Indiana would want to make the trade, right? Because they think that Halliburton is more valuable piece than Sabonis, and whether if they decide to keep Turner, they have a quality center. But like Sacramento's motivation, other than some irrational love of Sabonis's game for whatever odd reason, there was no need for them to do that. Like they weren't trying to. Maybe they want to make the playoffs because they've had their 15-year run of whatever, and so maybe that's what it is. But in general, like they didn't have like a strong need to like get rid of like the most valuable piece in a very long time.
Yeah, I mean but they need to do something. Like that team was obviously like not constructed well. So like person aside, like they needed to do something. Indiana's the same way. So I think like the GMs must have convinced themselves that like we can rearrange the pieces slightly and then make it happen, regardless of the value of the individual components that they got attached to. Seems to be the only explanation for this.
I just don't get it at all. I mean, I think the thing is, Mikey mentioned 2 have-nots. I think the Kings would consider themselves a have, and that's probably their problem.
As guys say, like they can consider themselves whatever they want.
Yeah,
they're
acting like they are one. And like they're 1 piece away, and this was their all-in move, but they're still like 6 pieces away. So like, this to me. So like, I was thinking about this. Let's see.
I'm gonna give you one more take, and then we're gonna go on to the next trade because I know you have a billion takes.
And
I have
all you're giving Nathaniel a minute to look up. I'm gonna say that like on the day that CJ McCollum was traded, like we began with like I guess the Sabonis trade over a McCollum trade on a podcast that Nat is a co-host of, which I just find
I know that's what's crazy.
Shows you how
so
ridiculous
that it's even more crazy than that. Okay,
no, but he did have. If we didn't have Sabonis on his team, we wouldn't have. So there's a lead in. So
correct.
It was relevant,
right? But like real life trumps fantasy. I believe.
All right. Here is how this trade feels to me. This trade feels to me like if Portland had traded Dame in like 2014 for like Paul Millsap or something.
Come on.
Paul Millsap was an all-star that year. Like he was a very good player, but like it strikes me as like you're trading your young hotshot point guard who is on a high trajectory for like a current good player who may or may not be a good player 3 or 4 years from now.
I like that because also 2014 Dame was no guarantee that he was going to be 2019 Dame, right? Like there was still a lot of potential that you had to buy into. Like he was good, but he couldn't maybe not have become 2019 Dame, right? Like that's.
I mean, his first game as a pro, he put up 28 and 10 and ended Steve Nash's career. So like he like that was going to be he from the moment he stepped on the floor, he was obviously great.
And Zion hasn't played a basketball game this season. All I'm saying is like you're still taking future always has a risk, as Mikey will inform us. Statistical like regression to the mean always is a possibility. And so like I think moral story, I think the take that the Kings think there's something is the take. That is the take. The Kings think they can win nowish, and Halliburton, regardless of the views on this show, which is clearly different, is to them not a win nowish player. And I think that to me is that makes
I think
sense.
he was just the thing that returned the most value for them.
Yes.
Like if they could have got that trade for Fox, they would have done the same trade for Fox probably. But Fox has a gigantic contract and is not as good as Halliburton right now, and definitely won't be in the future. Anyway, moving on. Mikey, as you said, CJ McCollum was traded today. Something that should have happened approximately 28 years ago. He was sent to the New Orleans Pelicans for Josh Hart, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, a couple other guys who probably won't be on the team, and a first round pick that may be a lottery pick this season, as well as 2 seconds, which second round picks have been very kind to the Blazers in recent years. So that's not nothing either.
Aldo Sunmo, Chicago Bulls current starting point guard, picked in the second round.
Gary Trent Jr., who they traded for Norman Powell and then dumped unceremoniously second round.
Gary Trent Jr., number 1 scorer for the Toronto Raptors.
Exactly.
What a bet! I didn't like that trade at the time. Anyway, continue.
So I'm happy with it because this is kind of hilarious because the giving away Norm and Rocco for nothing combined with this trade is basically just wiping out the entire legacy of Olshey. Like almost that is exactly what they've done. In 3 days, they've undid like 10 years of like cap death. And as much as it's sad to watch like good players go, I really like Norm. I'm very sad that Norm is gone. He seemed like a perfect fit next to Lillard. But CJ is basically was a negative asset at this point. Like he was paid like he's James Harden or a max like he's basically like $5 short of a max deal, and he is nowhere near a max player. Not even like the guy in Mikey's background is closer to a max player than CJ was, because at least he's got like crazy potential.
Not closer, yeah.
Eek! That's the hottest take on the show.
That's way too hot.
It is a hot take.
I'm gonna like pour some ice water on my head. I love
fine.
CJ as a player. I think he's gonna light it up for New Orleans. And after they just miss making the playoffs this year, so that Portland gets their lottery pick, I will definitely be rooting for them. I think he's a pretty good fit on that team. I don't know who on earth other than poor Herb is gonna have to guard. Herb Jones is gonna have to guard like 5 positions because literally no one else in that starting 5 plays any defense. Like
Valanciunas kind of plays defense.
No, he does not. Not even a little bit.
Zion played defense in college.
Zion played defense when he's on the floor.
Zion doesn't play basketball right now.
Poor man. I want to see him play. I really want to see him in there.
It would be great. Nathaniel, as the longtime mayor of Tank City, I think like 7-8 years and counting, I'd like to officially welcome you and let you know that your welcoming gift basket is on its way. Included in the gift basket are 8 years worth of scratch off tickets, and the hope is that one of those scratch off tickets will eventually pay off, and then you can leave Tank City.
What's your preferred scratch off game?
During your residence in Tank City, have you ever had an all NBA player in his prime? Just curious. During your tank.
So does Bamba count?
No. Someone who has made an all NBA team in his life.
No. We have had an all-star, a 2-time all-star in Nikola Vucevic, currently a member of T-Zach's Chicago Bulls. Yep. Although thank you for your draft pick, Franz Wagner. He'll be discussed later.
That worked well.
Good job.
Yep. Good trade.
That was a good trade. Like, okay, just on trade points, great trade. Like all around, great trade. That trade.
Everybody got better. Everybody got better in the way that they wanted to get better.
Win-win.
Yes.
Great.
Good trade.
I think Oladipo, I think he was all NBA the 1 year after he left the Magic. So I don't know if that counts.
No.
Then no.
No. Yeah. So this is kind of I have some faith because Dame still exists, and I appreciate that he has finally sat down. It crippled me in fantasy, notwithstanding. I don't care. This is I don't care. If he comes back fine next year, it's all, and I just die in the first round and lose to you while Jaylen Brown puts up 60 points a night. I will take that. Yeah, and whatever.
Hold on.
I will take that result.
On this note, the lopsidedness of every trade that went down this season due to injuries on one side of the trade is ridiculous. So
Never
Lillard,
trade.
Lonzo, Paul George, which is one of the other trades this season, like
Everybody who made a trade got like one side got fucked royally.
Totally screwed. and like not just because they didn't perform, but because they stopped playing basketball.
Yeah.
Is not cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so I have some faith that this will be a small T tank, not a capital T. Like I might just be renting an apartment in Tank City.
It's a pit.
Like
It's a pit stop.
Have a wonderful
I don't think I'm hoping I'm not buying a house there. Like that's kind of where I'm at.
He's getting a month to month. He's month to month by the train station.
Yeah, maybe I'm in like an extended stay hotel,
Nathaniel,
for a while.
The problem with that is that here in Tank City, we only do long-term leases. So I'm sorry. You may think that you're going month to month, my friend. But in reality,
they told me I could break it whenever I wanted.
That's what they say.
Oh.
So are you saying the landlords in Tank City are not friendly, or is that what you're saying, Mike?
I'm saying that sometimes you think you're only staying, it's like a stopover. Like you're I'm just gonna rent, or it's a temporary situation until I move to new accommodations. And what happens is that you're stuck there forever.
That's unfortunate.
Womp womp.
I'm sorry that you have set down roots unexpectedly in Tank City. So Nathaniel, what's the next move? So obviously this isn't the end. They've already said they're going to come out and they're swinging. There's not a rebuild. So what's next?
Pretty sure they're going to end Thursday with Jeremy Grant on their team. I actually would not like that to happen. Because they would almost certainly have to give up one of those lottery picks to do it.
You think that's just a pick, or they I
think it's Bledsoe's contract and a pick. I think that's probably what it ends up being. Dame has wanted Jeremy Grant on his team for a while. It's possible that was the plan. Get rid of these guys, make the room for Grant, get Dame his guy. However, I do not want him to be the second best player on the team I am a fan of. I like him I'm a huge fan of Jerry Grant as a fourth best player on my team.
That's what I wanted to know.
As a guy who hits some threes, plays some defense, runs the bench a little bit, but is not taking 18 to 22 shots per night, and is not ignoring defense so he can be like a primary or secondary scorer. That is not what I want. And I think that if they do that, that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to end up being the second best player on that team. And as much as like it's a way better fit than CJ, you still run into the same problem where you have one star and then like some guys. And that's not how you build a championship contender. My hope, if I were in the chair, I would do everything I could to gather more stuff. I would trade Nurk for another pick. I'd basically trade everyone that's not Dame. And
does that include Simons?
Yes. Because he's the most appealing asset they have. If you put Simons with 2 lottery picks, you can get literally anyone.
Well, all right, easy. You can get.
Okay.
You get Sabonis.
Let's say get a lot more than Sabonis for that. Especially not right now, not today, not on Thursday.
Does the league value Simons as much as you value Simons?
Yes.
Well, we'll see how much the Blazers bid against themselves by overpaying him in the offseason, and that will tell you what you need to know.
Nathaniel, I love you and respect you, but as a man who, on occasion and very rarely, tends to think highly of the players on his own team, just say that one's own viewpoint may not necessarily reflect that of others.
Are you disagreeing with
me?
I don't know.
Here's a real take though. Here's a real take. This is the worst season because a lot of guys who are similar to Simons, like shooting guards off the bench, have done a lot of crazy numbers this season because of like a lot of minutes getting played by wacky guys. And so this of all seasons is the wrong season for him to like be an appealing pickup because there's like a lot of
It's
dudes out
also-
there.
I 100% agree, and it's also the wrong season because he's up for a contract.
Yes.
This would have been so nice a year ago, 2 years ago, etc. Like he was basically a negative player 2 years ago, and having him as a really strong trade asset, you know, coming into like, let's say 2020, and we'll just discount the fact that the whole team died and got hurt and they were terrible. But like coming into 2020, if he had been like the kind of potential asset he is today, they might have been able to pair him with younger, less albatrossy CJ and gotten a better package, and then maybe made their move right then. But Neil would never take the swing because he would be afraid of failing. So to me, like I said, that's what, like, I'm all about the big swing. So like I would just trade everybody for a million picks, and then I would hope that like those million picks and Simons and whatever is enough to get you like the disgruntled star, or, you know, take on a couple of bad contracts to pick up a whole bunch more picks.
Who's your number two? Who do you want to root for your team with a number two that's gettable?
I don't know if he's gettable because they're playing so well, but I thought he would be gettable at the beginning of the season. That's Pascal Siakam.
He ain't gettable.
They're playing too well.
Yeah, that team's gonna be the team nobody wants to play in the playoffs.
I'm just curious what happens to them like a couple years down the road when all the young guys come up and Pascal's making 120 million. That's why I think
they've got guys 2 through 7. They don't got the guy though. They need the guy.
They have like 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they don't have like 1 and 3. They're missing like 1 and 3.
Maybe it's a 3.
Yeah, Van Fleet can be a 3. You're right.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll agree. I'll take that back. However, they got like a weird situation where they have like they're 2 generations of players. Like they have a couple older guys, couple really young guys, couple kind of young guys. That's good team building. It really is. But like at some point, like when you have to start paying the young guys, the old guys are going to become unaffordable.
Mm-hmm.
And Toronto is such a smart team that like they could see something like that coming. They would know that at some point they're not going to be able to pay everybody. So maybe like that's when somebody like a Siakam or a Van Vliet becomes available. I mean, they basically did it with Lowry this offseason. They basically realized like we can't pay him because we have too much youth and Van Vliet's already there. So they let him go. And they did the thing that they needed to do. And they're still a good team because they're so well coached. But Siakam would be my number one get. And like more, and they value picks so much because they're so good at drafting that like that's a team I could see having like some appeal to like 2 lottery picks in a draft where that mid lottery is starting to get a lot stronger, even though everybody thought it was going to be trash. So that would be my number one. The other intriguing bit, and this is not my original headspace. There was a talk. There's the ridiculous banter about Harden and Simmons. There was something that noted that.
Sorry, hold on. Just to make a point, if that trade goes down before Thursday, I'm gonna lose my mind. Like I am gonna be
move
so
the Nets back to New Jersey.
Excited. I'll be so excited. Chaos.
Let's pull the group real quick. Is that trade going to happen?
No.
I hope so.
I say yes.
I think it will.
I say yes.
That's some bold flyers to put out there.
If they know Harden is gone, they have to 100% know
There's
he's
a
gone.
lot of smoke around
I think
there's always smoke around him though.
But man, that's some inflammatory rumors to be thrown out there if there's no reason. You know what like
yeah, I mean LeBron is also a Chicago Bull, so like, you know, some inflammatory rumors happen all the time.
I've not even seen that headline, so I'd love to read it.
There was a lot of people who pegged LeBron and Wade going to the Bulls in 2010 when they were going to go somewhere together. Anyway,
classical reference.
Yes. So
all right,
like,
so
even like, okay, so you're Brooklyn, right? You know Harden's going to bolt in the offseason. This is like the most wide open I think the league has been in maybe a decade. Why not just try it? And if it fails, it fails. Who's he going to go to? Like, Philly doesn't have the money. They're going to have to salary dump everyone on that team in order to afford him. and nobody else of meaningful goodness has space.
Can stretch Tobias, which is one out for them.
That would be a really bad decision, though. They'd be have like 10 million in dead money on their books for 10 years.
I've been looking into like how it could actually happen, and that is a path. As a fan of a team who stretched someone years ago and is still paying for it, it sucks. It's terrible. And I think he is on the team just because, like, why not go for it this one time? You're not winning a championship with Simmons instead of him. And go ahead. Oh, sorry. So okay, I think your points are sound. Although I do think like Durant, Kyrie, and Simmons maybe could win a championship, but
not if Kyrie doesn't play half the game.
Oh, that I guess there's that very giant caveat. But I guess the point I want to make is like if your options are, and it doesn't have to be this binary, but it might be, right? You keep Harden for this season, but then you lose him, or you trade him for something of value, whether it's Simmons or something else. Like, what's the better move? Like, do you try and accrue? Because I don't think Brooklyn can. I don't know what their cap situation is like, but I imagine they don't have much, and so it's either trade Harden and get something back, or lose Harden and play out the season, take your one swing at it, hope he wants to stay, or he's gone, and then you're out one superstar.
Obviously, none of us know the inner workings of this, but you feel like the team has to have like some idea of where he stands, right? Like,
sure.
They also could be talking to him to like extend the contract, right? Like they should be.
Well, that's the thing. He could get a monster contract this offseason. He didn't. Like, the problem is sometimes with these contracts, like the guys decline to sign the extension, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's leaving. He's out the door." But sometimes that's because they can get like so much more money if they wait that one extra year.
It's like, not to make my weekly soccer reference, but like. You
made it pretty far into the program before you did, though.
So, but
might be
like,
the furthest you've ever made it.
For European club soccer, there is no free agency in the sense. I mean, there is, but I mean, because there's just no restrictions. But like every time you see an X year contract, it's really X -1, and then they get dealt because they get transferred because it's malpractice. Like teams would annihilate a manager for letting somebody of the value of people we're talking about walk for nothing. Like there's no world where those types of people are even allowed to get to the last year of a contract. Like because there's just too much. So I think it's an interesting thing because of free agency and because that expectation. So like if the star is disgruntled, they're just getting dealt because, like, to Mike's point, there's too much value there that the risk is enormous. So like, yeah, you might lose, but like getting nothing for those players is way worse long term than a disgruntled player making a run for it.
So going back to the tie-in here to your beloved Portland Trail Blazers, there was a note in a story. It was just like a throwaway couple of sentences. It was like, interestingly, Portland has acquired max cap room with these trades and could be a dump destination for Simmons, who Dame has outwardly said he would like to play with. Just putting that out there, because if they don't do this trade on Friday or Thursday or whatever, then they have to dump Simmons or Tobias or both. I don't know how much they have to dump to get Harden, but probably have to dump Simmons. And Portland is one of the few teams that like has the cap room, already has a star player for him to play with, and has like some draft capital to give back that isn't necessarily like, they could give them like their like 3 seconds or whatever just to make it work, or they could give back one of their lottery picks or whatever. So they could be a dump destination. That is from Tank City to a dump destination.
I'm gonna cut it off there because I think that we're getting into wild speculation at this point.
Oh yeah.
So I look forward to your just constant stream of consciousness for the next 2 days on this topic.
2 days. Let's try 4.5 months, but yes.
But I did want to provide Mikey the floor. So we've talked hot trade topics. I did want to get, so Michael, what is, we got notes. I like it. How are the rookies doing? I have to say I was a little concerned. They started off good. The air seems to have come out of the performance here. and I haven't seen as many stats. So I want to get your read on the situation. How do you feel the team is developing through the season at this stage?
Well, so I'm glad we could finally get to the main course of today's podcast.
Delicious appetizers of league-changing trades. Now it's time.
It's more of a tapas. It's more of a tapas tonight. Like many small dishes.
Your annual Orlando Magic future talent rankings. I'll give the usual caveat that these are personal rankings and somewhat divorced from rational analysis, just because I'm a man who likes to dream. So I want you to know that, like, well,
yes, we got it.
Okay. You're number one, a new number one. I'll be ranking 9 players. Franz Wagner.
Oh, Franz. Where was he in your previous ranking? Do you have that data?
What's that?
Do you have the data of where he was in your previous ranking?
I think he was down there.
He was like 5, I think.
Yeah.
He was climbing up the ladder.
He's mid tier.
Yeah. He is our number 1. We have finally hit on a draft pick, which is a new feeling for us, which is nice. He doesn't have a weakness, which is a useful trait for a basketball player to have, and he seems, I guess, wise beyond his years. Why are you laughing? Don't interrupt my flow.
Interrupt for a
Take
moment.
Me seriously.
No, it's having no downsides is like sort of a weird statement of a trait. He has many traits. Never mind. It's semantics. Nat.
May I
Please.
interject with an unrelated but somewhat related point?
Sure.
Mikey, I don't know if you're watching the current Orlando Magic versus Portland Trail Blazers game that's happening right now.
I'm going to watch it after this on DVR.
Well, you're going to see some highlights on Twitter of Bamba posterizing the whole team, as just happened like 3 seconds ago.
Let me readjust my ranking.
All right, so
and also on the play before that, hitting a pick and pop 3 right in Nurk's face as they're up 20 points at halftime.
You know what?
Tank.
As a prisoner of the moment, I'm actually going to move Bamba up 1 spot.
Nice.
Second.
These are dynamic rankings. They change throughout the day.
Once again, you can see how much
Wagner's number 1. We cut you off. Sorry. So like continue.
Okay, so Wagner, like he it is nice to see a rookie who like seems as intelligent on the basketball court as like somebody who's been around the league for like 5 or 10 years. Like you don't see him making dumb plays. Like he obviously, he has a lot of development left, and who knows what he turns into. But it is very nice to seeing somebody that young, like actually just always making the right play. Like he knows when to drive, he knows when to kick, he knows when to draw the defender and like the other things. And you're like, okay, like this guy knows how to play basketball. And getting him at the 8th pick was like fucking awesome. Because like I did not like the pick when we made it. Like I didn't know enough about him, but I was like I was hoping like Kuminga would drop to us, or maybe like get Book Knight. Like, this is trying not to be like hindsight bias and whatnot. And I did not like the pick, but like he is fucking awesome and has.
Is he like top rookie of the year right now, vote?
No, I think it's going to be Cade and Mobley. I think he might finish 3rd, unless he goes on like some insane tear, like like the rest of the season. But like this is a really strong class. Like Barnes is still good, right? Like Giddey.
Josh Giddey.
The number 3 on my list also making an appearance in the rookie of the year rankings. A little tease for 2 minutes from now. So I think he could finish 3rd, which would be great. And then who knows, how good he ends up being. Okay. I'll try and get through these reasonably quickly because I know we're running long. So, number 2, and this is maybe the prime example of my irrationality about this, is your friend and mine, Mr. Marco Fultz. I have not given up on him. Former number 1 draft pick, often injured. No one understands why Fultz and Isaac have not returned this season, because like Isaac's been out for like 2 years and Fultz is like a year and a half. Presumably it's related just because we want to tank, but like who knows? I'm not giving up on Fultz.
Real question: with that team, does he play or is he just going to get dealt?
No. Oh, I mean, I guess who knows?
Does he start over Cole Anthony? Like, is he a better player than Cole Anthony?
Suggs goes to the bench. Cole Anthony, like they start Fultz and Anthony in the backcourt, and Suggs goes to the bench. And then we decide
a small backcourt.
Yeah, Fultz is not bad. Fultz has good size. Anthony is
6'3".
6'4", maybe.
No. He's
All
CJ
right.
sized.
That's a bold take. That's a bold look. I was curious about Isaac because I thought he was gonna be back this season. It is a little weird.
So is Isaac just too busy like anti-vaxxing and doing those sorts of things to do his rehab, or maybe he just doesn't believe in rehab at all?
I think
he did his own research.
We're just keeping them out for tanking reasons, but honestly, it's like kind of like weird. Like they don't like talk about them, and they're like Isaac. It's gonna be like almost 2 years for like an injury that like takes
basically half his contract.
Yeah. And Isaac does get dinged in my rankings for his political views.
As you
those are being taken into account in
yes.
today's interview.
All right, so who's three?
If Fultz comes back, I want to wait. I want to wait and see what he is capable of when he actually returns. I still have high hopes. Number 3, Jaylen Suggs was ecstatic about this draft pick. Yeah, obviously Barnes has been good, but like I loved Suggs in college. Was very happy he dropped to us. He was hurt for a bit. So I think in our last rankings, I think it was right when he got hurt, potentially. But he's been looking really good since he's coming back. And like as a rookie, he's like, been dropping like last 10 games. He's been like, 15, 16, 17 points a game with like 5 assists and like 4 rebounds and, a steal or 2. And like, he has blocks on occasion. Like he's very athletic. He's an awesome defender right now. And his offensive game is coming along. His jump shot needs work. Hopefully it will get there. But like as a rookie, having like 2 like promising guys is like fucking awesome.
I like rookies who start good on defense. I think that's a way more important like projection of quality because you can learn how to shoot. You can like it's so rare for people to pick up being good at defense like over time.
I don't know if I agree with that take. I think Suggs I'm kind of low on. Only because small guards who can't shoot scare me. And defense is not as hard to learn as offense is. Defense is playing really hard, mostly, all the time. Like there's a certain amount of learning a system and learning reads, especially as a on-ball defender, that exists. But like the number 1 and 2 things that you need to be a good defender are effort and athleticism.
Yeah, but
he has both of those. He tries super hard. That's the thing with him that I like about him. He has no off switch.
And not everybody does it though. My point is like that to me that's the signal of drive and hunger. Like take a Doncic. Don don't give a shit about anything out on the court, and it ain't going to change. Like he
just cares about nothing.
That's going to change.
He's just a nihilist out here.
Yeah. So like to see that from players, and a lot of the rookies this season have it, which is really intriguing. And even like again, Bulls excellent 2nd round draft pick Ayo Dosunmu, like awesome on defense, plays hard, and like I think similar to Mr. Wagner knows what to do, but like. I will take that more often than not if they're missing like learnable components in the game. They'll develop them. Like Russell Westbrook developed a mild jumper for a few seasons. Like people can learn skills.
Did he?
For a few seasons.
Did he?
Hey. All things aside, current Westbrook is hot garbage. He legitimately had that wacky pull-up 15-footer for like, a handful of seasons that was really strongly good. You can't argue that he developed things in his game when he came to the league basically being somebody who could run and jump.
That's basically who he is currently.
I know, but because he's 15 years in the league, like he's old
and slightly less bouncy. And that's
because he's lost his athleticism. But
anyway,
gentlemen,
I think...
Far be it from me to criticize the direction of the conversation, but can we get back to the
yes, please do. Number 4.
We're getting from the important point.
Number 4.
Number 4, the aforementioned, slightly on the smaller side, but in the midst of his up and down breakout season, Cole Anthony. Very exciting also to have a second-year player who presumably has taken strides to, become at least a better scorer. Also tries hard, becoming a better
rebounder
as well. Great rebounder for his size.
Weirdly.
Still,
I don't understand it.
But nose for the ball is what they say, which maybe is just randomness, or maybe he actually, is a measurable skill in some way. But again, nice to have a player with potential showing improvement from year 1 to year 2. Those are what you are looking for as a member of, Tank City. So very happy with Cole's performance, even though, and fuck Joe for sending texts that, kind of describe his recent performance. Still having a pretty good year. And so very happy about Cole. The new number 5, and again, this is my rationality talking, is Mr. Mohamed Bamba. So I have him at 5 because I love him and want him to do well. Realistically, he is a great fantasy player and not a great basketball player, which is a problem. He has,
I'm into earth.
I know it's.
Remember how numerous seconds ago I said that defense is mostly effort. Exhibit A.
So, all right,
that dude is his.
You go, and then I'm going to say
that dude's wingspan is 8 feet long.
Yeah, it's pretty tall.
Why is he not the defensive player of the year?
So he has
8 feet. 8 feet.
All right, Nat. All right, let him speak.
This is Bamba, right? Like, so he has, right, like the long wingspan, right? He has like a shooting stroke for a guy with the second longest wingspan in NBA history. These are nice things to have in a basketball player. He was number 1. Taco Fall has, I guess.
Wow. I didn't know that.
So like these are wonderful things to have in a basketball player. The problem is that like I honestly don't know like when he started playing basketball. It seems like he started playing like 11 years late after everybody else played, and so he just like he doesn't know what to do on offense, and like on defense, he's going for the block, and that's fine, sometimes, and then other times, he gets lost, and so it may just be that like he takes a really, really long time to develop. Like if he actually can pick up like basketball instincts, if this is a skill you can develop, which who knows, and however long, obviously it's taken him a while, but he's been hurt a lot. Maybe there's something there, but really right now, like his stats, again, great for fantasy, are a lot of empty calories, right? Or he sometimes he'll like get the putback slam, and that's great. Or he'll run the pick and roll, and it'll work well, and that's great. Or they'll kick it out for a 3, and he can he'll have a good shooting game. But he needs to learn what to do on a basketball court, and that is a problem, and might be an unfixable problem.
Do you think if he went to a different team or had a different coach, like, do you think that would change? Just curious.
I mean,
like if he was like the weakest guy on a strong team.
Yeah. So Clifford was like our former coach was not the right coach for Bamba. And he is like, it's his 3rd year in the league. The problem is that he didn't play much. And he did not get the support of the coaching staff. And so at least now at the beginning of the year, he had it. So his development has been stunted, which was a problem with, our philosophy about like why we were playing guys and what we were shooting for. So the answer to your question is probably, yeah, like he definitely could have been in a better situation to start his career. And who knows how that would have impacted things if like he had, people teaching him what to do in a better environment. So I haven't given up hope on Bamba, and obviously I have him at 5. I'm ahead of people who are better than him, just because I want to dream, and so
Gotcha.
let me dream. Just let me.
We're letting you dream.
It kind of sounds like you're just describing Whiteside with a jump shot.
Oh, that's no. I'm smacking that back. Get out of here. Don't. That's just mean. That's just cruel. That's just
he had
cruel.
Good stats.
Bamba's still young. They're still
the slur.
It's true. Well, I mean, Whiteside, like he washed out. He went to the D League. He played overseas, and he kind of figured it out for a while. And then I guess he just stopped caring. I don't know. He was pretty good in Miami for a while there.
Yeah, it's easier too.
Like, I'm not using that comparison as an insult. I mean, I am, but I'm also saying like that might be the trajectory. Like he struggles for a while, and maybe he figures it out for a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. You could definitely, like, obviously, again, he has building blocks you can use to make a quality NBA player. We will see if that pans out. I hope that it does, and I hope it does for the Magic.
Question for you on Bamba. One more. He's up right this year for contract.
I guess this is his 4th year. I think. Yeah, I guess it would be. He is up for an extension at the end of the. Yeah.
How much would you pay him, GM Michael?
Reasonable GM Michael.
Yeah, like GM Michael who's trying to win a championship. What would you give him a contract, and how much would it be for, and how many years?
Okay, but so again, because like we're still in like the rebuilding phase, like I don't mind hanging on to players with potential. So I would say 3 years, 8 to 10 million, 9.2 per year.
He's gonna get more than that though.
I think he would, and then I might end up paying more. But you asked me to be reasonable, and I tried my best. If I'm going to be
Is that's your first offer?
That's
is that like your first offer?
Yeah, like
I think he's probably like a $12 to $15 million guy because centers who can shoot are hard to find.
Let me just pull out the fact that we just basically spent a few minutes talking about how the guy like doesn't know how to play basketball functionally, like on a court. And like we're like, oh, he's still worth 10 million.
8-foot wingspan.
I know. I just hate everything. I just
and
hate
also
everything.
8-foot wingspan with a jumper. That
All right, so,
makes people salivate. Anyway, go on.
So who's 6?
Number 6, who was 5 before Nathaniel's description of Bamba's play tonight, is the aforementioned and unfortunately poorly misguided Jonathan Isaac. Who really like in an actual ranking of Magic talent, like could actually be number 1 on this list. Defensive player of the year potential, and then who knows what his offense looks like now. But somebody who actually is legitimately good enough to be defensive player of the year, and whatever he could bring to the table, rebounding and scoring wise, who knows? Although again, coming back from a mysterious 2 year now, 2 years, almost 2 years injury, who knows? But in legitimate Orlando Magic future power, rankings, he would be up there, and could actually turn into somebody who's definitely a very good player. But we need to see him play, and so if he's going to stay injured forever or stay unvaccinated and whatever else he's doing forever, and then who knows if he wants to sell his book on Fox News instead of playing basketball. Then
saucy,
saucy
take.
Not happy with the direction he's taken.
All right.
Years ago, Isaac was my dream Blazer ad when Dame and CJ were still young guys. Yeah. That was who I wanted to pair them with.
I would love to see him play again. Like I would really love to see him play again and see if there's anything.
He's really fun to watch when he's out there. Like he's so long and so fast, and really has the defense like you talk about Bamba not knowing how to play defense. That man knew how to play defense.
Yes.
Like really know how to play defense.
I would agree. Number 7, who should also be ranked higher in real rankings. And again, another wonderful piece we got from the Chicago Bulls trade, Wendell Carter Jr., who actually, he's having a great year and is signed to a very reasonable contract, like 3 years, 12 million, and is like, just looks like a good basketball player. He's like a legitimate starting center, and he's playing power forward for us at the moment. And like if the Magic team develops, like he will be a wonderful person to have on our team, just as somebody who, again, kind of the inverse of Bamba, maybe not as, he doesn't have the same like.
He's a player. He's a rotational NBA player strongly.
Legitimate starter and on a good playoff team, like he's not obviously the best player, but he's like fine as like number 4 or whatever. Yeah. And is playing well and, plays good defense, doesn't make, doesn't like overshoot his shot on offense and
but is a good shooter.
But is a good shooter, yeah. But he doesn't like he just like he's happy like getting the ball when he does and making some plays and playing just reasonable defense and kind of just contributing. And so he should be higher, but just because I'm a fool for potential. That's why he's number 7 here.
I disagree with this. I think you need to bump him up solely because of his glasses. He is the coolest looking guy on that team, and it's not close. And that deserves an extra spot. Just saying. Go on.
Feedback always welcome. Thank you, Nathaniel.
All right.
That's what I'm here for.
All right, let's get the last 2. We got 8 and 9.
Yeah. So 8 is Chuma Okeke, who actually he came on. He was strong at the end of last year because he was the only person like who could play. He was the only like legitimate NBA player on the team. And this year he's kind of had an up and down year. Like started out not so great, and people were like, "What's going on?" He looked so good last year. And this year I think more recently, I guess when folks have been going down with injuries again, he's come on and he has seemingly rediscovered some of his 3-point shooting, although not all of it. Very good defender. But yeah, just a young raw guy who may turn into a player down the line, but who knows? And then finally, number 9, RJ Hampton, currently injured, has not really developed in his second year here, has not gotten too much playing time, but, was a great player in high school and maybe he figures it out.
I like it.
And that
question on Okeke. Yes. He might be the most picked up and dropped guy in our league this year.
It's because he'll have like good games
he'll have like 6 steals in a game, and then somebody will be like, "Oh yeah, I want that," but then he'll like have no steals for like
right. Well, the problem is like his playing time has been very like up and down because it's been injury dependent as opposed to like quality of play dependent. And so I think more recently he's getting more playing time. And I do think the Magic, like speaking of trade deadline, tying it all back together, like, Terrence Ross and Gary Harris are, candidates to be, removed from the team by Thursday. We'll see if that happens. And that will open up at least more playing time for the 9 players that I have listed for you.
All right. One question for you. Let's say we're looking 4 years into the future. Who is the highest paid among your list? Like they hypothetically have all come up for a contract in that period. Which one has the biggest contract?
Does Jabari Smith Jr. count?
No, he's not on a team yet. Besides, he's going to be on the Blazers. Don't worry about it.
He could be the #1 pick in the draft next year. The highest. Okay, so my guess is it would be. This is assuming he comes back from injury. It would be Isaac. Isaac, or if Suggs actually turns into like a full player. These are my guesses. Although I put Franz 1.
Isaac's already pretty highly paid. Didn't he have 4 for 80? Isn't that his contract?
Something like that, yeah. But I mean, if we're doing like the next, if we're saying like everybody's like their next, whatever contract.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem though is like, and like you could make a reasonable case for like Franz, Fultz, Suggs, Cole, and Isaac, right? I think, I think those are the 5 that you could, plausibly be the highest paid. I think Wendell will be good. Bamba will take, I'm not going to call it a miracle.
Too much wishy-washy. Too much wishy-washy.
Not enough Homer. Need more Homer. I'm a little disappointed in your lack of Homer here.
Oh man, it's all wrong because the number one guy
4 for 70 for
Marco
Isaac,
Fultz.
by the way.
The fact that it's not the number 1 guy means all your rankings are trash. So that's all.
It's true. It's all invalidated.
It's all invalidated by the fact that the auto answer wasn't the number 1 guy.
Glad to put in so much work. We don't accept it as legitimate.
Huh?
I was brought on this podcast to provide content. I just gave you 17 minutes of Orlando Magic.
Oh, he timed it. We do appreciate the content. We do. The fans love it. You're always welcome on the show.
I got one more question for you on Magic. Do they do much? They don't do a lot of deadline stuff usually, do they? Are they going to do anything?
So the problem for years is that we didn't do anything, and then finally last year we did with Vooch and Fournier and Gordon.
Oh yeah, that was a deadline trade.
Yeah, that was a big deadline trade.
But,
okay. I don't know why I thought that was an
But the problem was that we just waited like a couple years too late to do that. So now
I'm very familiar with this problem. Yes. As a team who
what a great way to lead out.
You're trying to cut me off. I have more takes. Let me.
Is this the longest podcast
by far? Not even close.
I'm pretty sure last time you were on, it was like 2.5 hours.
We
did the what ifs.
We are well over an hour.
It has been a pleasure, my friends. As always.
It has been a pleasure. Always a pleasure. We could be here for 4 more hours. As Nat has. Nat is so full of. Nat is at a take explosion right now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
tank.
It's a take. We got to cut it off because otherwise we'll be here all night. It's been fun though, and I'm sure we'll have more takes next week because trades will occur. So we'll get there.